And welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. And here's your latest housing market update for Phoenix, Arizona, as well as Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to share all the trends we're seeing right now in those two markets here regarding new listings, home sales, home prices, and of course, housing inventory, and much, much more. So let's first talk about Phoenix, and then I'll go over what's happening right now in Las Vegas. So for new listings in Phoenix, Arizona, that's down 23.8% on a year-over-year basis, which, by the way, this blue line right here is for 2023. The black line is 2022, the orange line is 2021, and in red is 2020. Right here, as you can see, the onset of pandemic here. But new listings are down 23.8%, so we have far fewer new listings hitting the market compared to 2020 through 2022. But compared to 2022 this time, down almost 24%. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that even though we have fewer new listings in Phoenix, Arizona, compared to 12 months ago, the gap between 2022 and this year has actually been narrowing here. Because on January 1st, that decrease was 34.4%. Now it's only 23.8%. In fact, going back to 2022, we haven't seen a decrease of about 23.8% since approximately right here, more or less the middle of October last year, in which new listings decreased by 22%. But the gap between 2022 and 2021 at that time were actually increased throughout the year. So something to follow here because new listings appear to be increasing at a faster pace compared to the past few years here, but still down compared to 1 year ago. So let's have a look at pending home sales, which of course is when a home seller accepts an offer from a home buyer. I want to talk about actually listing updates, so because this kind of talks about the number of new pending home sales for the time period here. So look at this. Pendings are down 31.8% compared to the same time frame in 2022. Let's look at the difference here. 31.8% on January 1st, it was actually about 35%. At 31.8, this is actually a lot lower than the difference back in 2021, all the way until we hit right there, more or less the middle of September last year. So we're seeing the gap this year compared to last year actually shrink for new listings as well as new pending home sales. Again, though, when talking about contracts being signed, it still hasn't increased very much so because they went from about 34.7% now to approximately 31.8%. And also far below levels we saw back in 2020 through 2022. Let's also have a look at housing inventory in Phoenix, Arizona, which is right here. Active listings, which of course is housing inventory, is up a whopping 67% compared to 2022. Absolutely insane. 67%. But this is actually a little bit better than the almost 69 or 69.5% increase we saw on January 1st. But still, there's a lot more housing inventory compared to the past few years, actually. 18,524 houses for sale in Phoenix, Arizona for the 4 weeks ended January 22nd this year. Back in 2022, at this time, there was approximately 11,000. In 2021, approximately 12,000. And pre-COVID, back in 2020, there was approximately 16,847. So the levels we have right now is not only a high compared to 1 year ago, but obviously higher compared to the past few years as well. So I'm guessing because active listings have been increasing so much compared to 1 year ago, I'm guessing that closed home sales have been decreasing, which is right here. So closed home sales, look at that, down 43% compared to 12 months ago and well below levels we saw back in 2020 as well as 2021 as well. So a huge decrease of 41% for closed home sales, and obviously new pending home sales are down big time as well, down about 32%. So because they're seeing this huge decrease of closed home sales, I'm guessing that the share of price drops according to altosresearch.com, has been surging as well in Phoenix. And look at this. The share of price drops in Phoenix is about 58%. It has been coming down ever since more or less the beginning of November last year, when the share was about 68%. But at 58%, this is much higher compared to 12 months ago at 26%, 2 years ago at around 31%, and pre-COVID, the share was only about 39%. And fast forward 3 years to right now, the share right now is approximately 58%. This means approximately 6 of every 10 houses for sale right now in Phoenix, Arizona have already reduced their asking prices. And by the way, just for comparison's sake, on a national average, the share of price drops, according to altosresearch.com, is approximately 34%. Obviously much higher than the share we have right now in Phoenix at around 58%. Let's also talk about home prices in Phoenix, Arizona. So the median sold price right now is approximately $423,000, and that's a 4% decrease compared to 12 months ago. 12 months ago at this time, the median sold price was approximately $443,000, and that time, this time last year, look at that. The median sold price was up by 28% compared to the same time frame in 2021, whereas this year down 4%. I mean, what a difference 12 months makes. Also, when comparing to the peak that we saw more or less in June of last year, at that time, home prices increased by 21%. But back then, the median sold price was $487,000. Therefore, home prices, the median sold price in Phoenix, Arizona, has decreased approximately 13% ever since June of last year. And to compare that to the national average, we're seeing decreases of about 10% compared to the highs we saw in June. But in Phoenix, down by about 13%. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that if you're a home buyer looking to buy a house in Phoenix, obviously, it's nice to see that home prices have decreased about 13% since the highs we saw from last year. But we're looking at home prices compared to pre-COVID levels back in 2020. Look at this, 423,000. Let me just do some quick math here. 423,000 is the median sold price right now. Compare this to pre-COVID levels back in 2020. The median sold price was only $294,000. Therefore, look at this, 294. Home prices have increased approximately 44% over the past several years, going back to 2020. In other words, even though home sold prices have decreased about 13% since last year, they're still up about 44% over the past 3 years. Let's also have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in Phoenix, Arizona. And look at this. This is going straight up right now. Days in the market right now is at 70.5 days. This means it's taking approximately 39 days longer to sell a house in Phoenix compared to 1 year ago. 70 days is the median days in the market. 1 year ago, days in the market was only 31 days. Also at 70 days right now, this is much higher compared to pre-COVID levels, because back in January 2020 at this time, days in the market was only 45 days. Also, a friendly reminder, when talking about any metrics in which involve closed home sales, that's really a lagging indication of our housing market, what our housing market was like 1 to 2 months ago. So that's days in the market, as well as closed home sales, as well as the median sold price in the US, all lagging indications of our housing market. So let's have a look at the average sale price to list price ratio, which of course measures how much houses are selling for over or under asking price. So right now, the average sale price to final list price ratio is around 97%, meaning houses selling on average for about 3% below the seller's final asking price. Back in 2022 at this time, houses were selling for about the asking price of the seller. And now again, they're selling for about 3% below right now. Again, though, this is a lagging indication though. Also, it's interesting to see here that this ratio here has been more or less tanking ever since May of last year, going from around 102% in May and ending the year in 2022 at about 97%. All right, let's change gears and talk about what's happening right now in the Las Vegas housing market. New listings are down 36.3% on a year-over-year basis, more or less on par with January 1st at about 35.4%. At 36.3% though, this is actually below levels we saw back in December, as well for the most part of November last year, when new listings were decreasing in the range of 40% to around 38%. But just like Phoenix, Arizona, new listings are down compared to the past 3 years as well, below levels in 2020 through 2022. Let's look at pendings. Let's talk about listing updates. So new pending home sales in Las Vegas, Nevada are down 43.1% right now, which is actually a little bit worse than the start of the year, down 40.5%. Interesting to see that over the past couple weeks here, there hasn't been a lot of movement regarding new contracts being signed, whereas in 2020 through 2022, pending home sales were increasing big time for the first part of the year here. So because we're seeing huge decrease of pending home sales, let's have a look at active listings in Las Vegas, Nevada. And look at that, more or less on par with 2020's levels, but up a whopping 74.53%. Approximately 75% more houses for sale right now in Las Vegas, Nevada compared to 12 months ago. There's 9,524. In 2021, this time, about 7,500. In 2022, approximately 5,500. Now there's 9,500 houses for sale, an increase of 75%. Let's also have a look at closed home sales in Las Vegas, which is right here. Closed home sales going down big time, down about 49% on a year-over-year basis here, well below levels in 2020 through 2022 as well. And just like Phoenix, Arizona, closed home sales started to decrease big time ever since more or less May of last year. So I'm guessing because we're seeing a huge decrease of contracts being signed and also a huge decrease of closed home sales, I'm guessing the share of price drops in Las Vegas has been skyrocketing here, and it has compared to previous years at this time. The share of price drops right now is at 49%, much higher compared to 12 months ago at 23%, as well as 2 years ago at 24%. And pre-COVID, back in 2020, the share was around 37%. So the share right now at approximately 49% is at least a 3-year high for that same time frame though. But the share has been decreasing though, ever since more or less the end of November or middle of November. And the share at 49%, it hasn't been this low since approximately the end of July last year. So even though the share is much higher compared to the same time frame over the past few years, the current levels right now are the lowest levels since the end of July last year, but still much higher compared to the national averages of around 34%. So let's have a look at home prices in Las Vegas as well, which is right here. So the median sold price in Las Vegas right now is down 2% year over year at $392,000. At the peak though, which was more or less June last year, the median sold price was at $456,000. This means home prices have decreased approximately 14% since June of last year. One big thing though is that look at back in June. Back in June, home prices increased 24%, and right now down 2%. And at this time in 2022, they were up by 24%. And fast forward 12 months, down 2%. So just like I mentioned for Phoenix, Arizona, even though home prices have decreased by double digits since June, we're still up big time compared to pre-COVID levels. This is actually a common question I get. Are we close to pre-COVID levels for home prices? And the answer is really no. It depends on the housing market, but in these markets, definitely not. Let's actually do the math on this. 392,000, so 392 less, which is more or less right here at 285. There you go. So when comparing home prices right now compared to the pre-COVID levels back in the end of January of 2020, the median sold price is still up by about 38%, even though home prices have decreased by about 14% since last year. Now, having said that, let's have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in Las Vegas, Nevada. Days in the market, it's at 70 days, on par with Phoenix, Arizona. But look at that, up 40 days. So it's taking about 40 days longer to sell a house in Las Vegas, Nevada compared to 12 months ago. So it's taking over 1 month longer to sell a house in Las Vegas, Nevada compared to 2022 at this time. Days in the market is at 70 days. At this time in 2022, days in the market was approximately 30 days. Let's also have a look at the average sale price to final list price ratio in Las Vegas, and that's at approximately 97%, just like Phoenix. Houses are selling on average for about 3% below asking. Back in 2022 at this time, houses were selling for about the asking price on average. And also at the current levels right now at about 97%. This is below 2020, 2021, and of course 2022 as well. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.